Hi, I'm Robin Russell and welcome to Coastal Today, an inside look at Coastal Carolina University. Let's get started with our first guest. Terry Pettijohn is a psychology and sociology professor at Coastal who has been researching economic trends. In his previous appearance on Coastal Today, he talked about how the economy affects not only people's taste in music, but in Playboy playmates as well. He has now expanded his research to include how the economy affects our selection of song lyrics, how we select a mate, and U.S. presidents' features. He is here today to talk to us about his interesting research. Welcome back, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Such interesting research. Let's talk about where you've gone since that last show.
Since last year was when we focused on music and popular Billboard songs and how they've changed across time, going back from the 1960s up through present. And since then, we've looked a little bit more at the lyrics, the actual lyrics in the songs. And what we find is the same kind of pattern, is that when times are more difficult, we actually prefer song lyrics that tend to be a little bit more meaningful, that kind of express some of the things that are going on in society. And we also tend to focus a little bit more on interacting with other people and more the social interaction dynamics that we have in relationships when times get a little bit more difficult. So the lyrics change a little bit over time. And
in Psychology Today, may I say that you were quoted talking a little bit about these song lyrics.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, they read the articles that are coming out, and then they decide what they're going to place in the magazine. And they did a little bit of a write-up on the article that came out with the lyrics, and so they put it in there, and it looked pretty nice the way that it turned out. It gets a little bit more press.
Talk a little bit about the president's features.
One of the things that we had to do was to extend some of the research that we've done on this environmental security hypothesis, and we wanted to look at some other areas besides just songs and, as you mentioned, the Playboy playmates.
Right.
And we wanted to look at the leaders of our country, and so we could go back and we could look at who's been elected year after year, and then kind of determine the social and economic statistics that go along with those to see if there's any kind of pattern in terms of who's being elected and some things about their characteristics. So we looked at things like age and height, and we also did their facial features, including their eye size and their chin size. And what we found is that this was a really small, limited sample size. We went back from the 1930s, and there's only been, like, I think there's 19 elections since then that we looked at in our sample, which only produced 11 unique presidents. But in that sample, what we found is that our president selection has tended to be individuals who are a little bit taller when times are difficult, that have larger chins, and that have smaller eyes, these more mature kinds of features. And we also found that individuals that were a little bit younger in comparison to other years tend to be the people that we selected to be president over the years.
Now, why do you think that is?
I think it has a lot to do with the way that a person looks. We want someone who's strong, who's in command, who can handle tough situations when times are bad. But at the same time, we want someone who's physically able to handle the demands of the office. And so it's that combination of age and these other physical dimensions that really produces the best people that people want to vote for.
Now, what about the eyes?
The eyes, smaller eyes tends to be a mature characteristic, and so individuals that have smaller eyes tend to be rated higher on characteristics such as independence and strength and dominance, and so those are different attributions we might be making depending on what we're looking at in an individual.
And may I brag that in the New Scientist magazine, we talk a little bit about that president study that you're quoted as well. Terry, you also have another study. You're talking about what we're attracted to when we're hungry.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. These all just kind of are coming out around the same time. You know, they take a very long time to do any of these studies, and it's usually, a year after they get accepted before they come out. The one that you're talking about with the hunger, we wanted to do something more in the field where we could approach people, and we're trying to think about other indications of threat. And one such indication of threat in the literature that we run across is this idea of resource scarcity. And in particular, we can look at food. And so when individuals have a lack of food, that they might actually show different kinds of preferences in terms of their mates. And so we wanted to do something, and we wanted to do this on a college campus, and so we approached people either before or after they ate at the dining hall for dinner, and we asked them things about their ideal partner, like how much older, how much younger the partner would be, how much taller or shorter they would be, We also asked them questions about personality attributes of the individual, and we also asked them some things about weight, what their ideal partner's weight would be. And so we found some interesting findings comparing males and females.
And I guess it would be those that could provide for them, the mature person that could provide.
Right. And so what we would suggest that this threat, this environmental threat that would come up with food, and so when individuals are more hungry, they'd actually prefer someone with these more mature characteristics, as we found in the other studies. And so in this case, that males would look for physical characteristics in females that would be a little bit more mature when they were hungry. And so things like being a little bit older, being a little bit taller, and being a little bit heavier would be those physical dimensions that we would look for, and indeed that's what we found.
Terry Pettijohn, it's always a pleasure. We love hearing about your research. Keep going, and we'll have you back soon.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.